Sometimes people post questions asking why my wife and I decided that we would settle in Maine. So today, I've got a few projects to do around the house, included go out in the woods and get some wood. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and show you around and explain to you why Maine is the perfect place for, at least for us, to raise a family. When I graduated from college, Maine was not my first place to move to. I wanted a life of adventure, and I couldn't see myself settling down in my hometown. When I was young, I really just wanted to get out of my hometown and go on an adventure, see the world. I wanted to see what the other states had to offer. I just had this crazy notion that living somewhere other than my hometown would just somehow be better. But I was really just naive. Then I met this girl, and she made me realize that happiness really comes from within and not necessarily from your surroundings. And after getting a job in the technology industry and having the opportunity to travel the country, I went to most of the major cities. I went to San Francisco, California so many times, Las Vegas a bunch of times, Dallas, Houston, went down to Florida, and I even went to the Midwest. And the more I traveled, the more I started to enjoy my home state. Having the opportunity to travel like that was really good for me. Those trips allowed me to check out a lot of our national parks. You know, I went to Yosemite National Park, Grand Canyon, and I don't mean to brag, it's just how I ended up figuring out that Maine's the place that I wanted to be. And I also got to travel internationally too. I went to Brazil, Japan, and into Europe, all over Europe. Frankly, I loved it, but it also made me appreciate where I was from. Don't get me wrong, I love those other places. And I think probably there would have been some other places that I could have been equally as happy settling down in. But I have family here and a lot of friends. And that amazing girl that I met wanted to stay here in Maine. And I think down deep, I really did too. As a result of settling down here, I started taking advantage of all the winter sports. My wife's dad, my father-in-law, got me interested in snowmobiling. So we started going sledding all over the county, meeting lots of really cool guys. His friends would come up from Massachusetts. And I just had a really good time. Started playing hockey with my brothers. And it just seemed like the more I went skiing and started taking advantage of all this stuff, that I realized that my heart belonged here in the state I grew up in. My wife and I ended up having 2 girls, and when winter started coming every year, I found myself more and more looking forward to it as much as I did the summer. It meant outdoor chores like this that I really love to do as long as you're dressed properly. It also meant that I could take my girls sledding and start taking them on skiing trips, bringing their friends, and basically building a lot of really great memories that we still talk about today. You know, I get it. The snowy weather is not for everyone. And as you get older, you can find yourself spending more time inside, but getting outside, doing a little bit of work, and breathing in this crisp air, you really just need to try it, because once it gets into you, you're outside, you really don't even notice that it's cold, and the snow is just really beautiful. It's nice to just take in your surroundings, and sometimes I see deer out here, occasional bear. We have, of course, porcupines, bunnies, and you know, seeing some of that stuff around. I know you can see it in other states as well, but I've just kind of turned into a Mainer. So why Maine? What was it about this state over some other really nice states like Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts? Well, proximity to the seacoast was a major factor, especially affordable land, because I knew that I'd want to do activities with my daughters like surfing, looking into tidal pools, going to the beach, and I've even been known to do a little bit of clamming. While my daughters were still young, I eventually started playing hockey again and purchased a dirt bike and started hitting the trails in the more rural areas of Maine. But once I got older, that had to stop, and I found some other activities. And now I'm in my 50s, so I've traded in the dirt bike for a side-by-side, which allows me to enjoy our 113 acres with my wife, my daughters, and now their husbands and boyfriends. My summer evenings are spent enjoying campfires, appreciating our amazing sunsets, and working outside nearly every day and just appreciating my land and the local environment. If you're a person that likes all these outdoor activities, then a Maine lifestyle could be right for you. And if you're more of an indoor person, like my wife, Maine still has a lot to offer. The larger towns and cities have nice gyms, indoor pickleball, good restaurants, and great local performances. After my daughter Margaret graduated from high school, I sold my software company. My wife and I agreed to sell our beach house over in Wells and move back to our house in Sanford, where there's no tidal flooding and the summers are about 10 degrees warmer, which was important to us. After about a year of tinkering around the house and running out of challenging projects, I started to really get bored. Not having a job was taking a toll on me, and I tried doing some consulting, which made me realize that after 26 years of sitting behind a desk, I needed to be outside more. But I didn't know what I needed to be doing. I was getting anxious and even thinking about moving to another state. As luck would have it, two important events came into my life. First, we got a phone call about 113 acres coming up for sale that my wife and I had been keeping our eye on for years. It was going to be for sale, which brought up some old conversations my wife and I had had about someday starting a campground. We live in this beautiful rural area of southern Maine on a small spring-fed pond in a city named Sanford. We are only about 25 minutes to the coast to either Wells, Ogunquit, or Kennebunkport. And when I'm not working with Margaret, I spend a lot of time out in the forest enjoying the land. At the time of this video, my wife and I are working with the city and the engineering company. We hope to have something approved for a campground in maybe 18 to 24 months. I'll leave a link down below if you'd like to learn more about our campground approval process. The second major event was when Margaret graduated from college and announced to us that she was going to sell real estate. I thought that would be a great opportunity for me to help my daughter in a profession she had been talking about all through high school, and real estate gets me outside a lot, and I just love that. So I decided to join her. These two events, the campground effort and Margaret and I getting into real estate, have proven to be great decisions for me, especially living in the state of Maine. Since the campground dream is taking several years to pursue, I get to work with my daughter in a field we both enjoy that keeps me outside. The campground will happen someday, but in the meantime, I get to work outside and stay close to my family. What father could ask for more than that? At this point, I can tell you that the rest of my life will be spent in my hometown of Sanford, Maine, helping Margaret with real estate along our seacoast and assisting my wife with the campground. Like I said, I spent 26 years behind a desk, and for the most part, I loved it. But now I want to work outside more in real estate, and someday the campground will allow me to meet lots of interesting people that like to visit or vacation in Maine. So if you're looking to learn more about real estate in southern Maine, just give my daughter Margaret or I a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or our favorite, schedule a Zoom. We'd like to learn more about whether or not Maine is a good fit for you. And if you'd like to learn more about what it's like to live in southern Maine, watch this next video.